Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. So I go off air for 2 days and all hell breaks loose in the markets. I don't have that kind of control. I wish I did, but it's not me. It's not anything else. It's just the market being the markets. I think the yen carry trade is having an impact a little bit on the markets right now, right? We have the Japan, I think it's the central bank, possibly doing interest rate hikes coming up later on this week. I think that's having an impact on the markets right now as it is. I mean, pretty much everything was down. It wasn't really just Bitcoin. It was Microsoft, I think, was down. Google was down as well. It was, I mean, everything across the board was pretty much down on the day. So it's one of those days that we dread, unfortunately, but they do come along every once in a while, and we have to kind of just deal with it. It's the market being the market. It's market manipulation, if you want to call it that as well. We do have some good news stories, though, to talk about. We'll take a look at, obviously, what Bitcoin's going on right now, miners as well, what they did today. We'll take a look at how the miners performed last week against Bitcoin. We'll also take a look at Bitdeer. Bitdeer provided us with their production update for November. We'll take a look at that. And we have a bunch of good news stories. On top of it, we have some rumors potentially that IREN might be in talks with XAI for their site in Clearwater, right? The 2 gigawatts they have available there. We'll talk about that. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it as well. And then we'll get into Q&A after that. And maybe we do need to have a support group again, Dave. Based on what's going on with the markets, I see some of you guys already are writing in the comments that you guys are down already from where you bought in on some of these stocks here. It's rough. This is not the first time I've been through this. It's not my first rodeo. There were multiple times where I was in the red on these guys here in the past, I would say 3 years, almost 4 years now. So I'm kind of numb to this, a little bit more used to it. And I also have a little bit of different time frame than maybe what you guys have, right? My time frame on these things has been pushed out because of the AI narrative that's happening here right now in the space. And I'm okay with what we're seeing, and I'm actually looking to possibly buy more if we dip even further than this. I'm okay if we dip. Don't like it, but I'm okay with it. I'll buy more and dollar cost average in at that point. But I think the long-term view is still really good for us. Okay? All right, let's get into it. As always, we got to go through this. Not financial advice, return only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously, and I greatly appreciate every one of you coming in tonight on a little bit warmer night than we had at least over the weekend here. All right, let's get into the markets here. So Bitcoin was down quite a bit here today. It was down, and that's not Bitcoin, that's IREN. Bitcoin, here we go. Bitcoin was down quite a bit today. It was down 1.99%. It was down even more than that at one point. Yet the miners got beat up like 3x that, 4x that, 5x that, even more than that even. Some of these guys here. So didn't really make much sense here, right? Nothing has really changed in this space overall. I did see, what was it? One guy that's like become bearish on AI play, Jim Chanos, I think it is. He's talking about AI being overhyped or overrun. I don't know if that had any impact on this as well. I mean, you guys will see obviously the results on the miners here today, but everything was down. Dow Jones was down, NASDAQ was down, S&P was down, Russell was down as well. Bitcoin was down like we talked about. It's down a little bit here on the new day as well. Ethereum was down. Also, if we look at that one, Ethereum was down today 3.23% here. But going back to Bitcoin here really quick, something I wanted to show you guys here is on the RSI. Right, the RSI right now on the weekly is getting pretty low here. It's low as it's been here even last week when we bottomed out here at 86,000. We went down to 80,000, I think, at that point as well. For the low, 80,524, right? So we're kind of at that same spot, more or less the same price, a little bit lower than we were before. But again, you have to zoom out sometimes. And when we look at the RSI here, where we're at right now with 35 on the weekly, if you go back to January of 2023 here, which was basically almost the bottom there, where we bottomed out in December, November timeframe in 2022, we have gone up quite a bit from that time frame. So if we just go up to the top here on Bitcoin, we went up 680% over that time frame. And is this just one of those things where we're kind of clearing out some clutter in the space, some longs and everything else that has been maybe a little too leveraged there, and giving us the opportunity to go up much higher from this point? So, I mean, if we do go up 600 some odd percent from here, which I doubt we're going to do here in the next couple of years, well, maybe. I think it's going to be a little bit more muted here. But if we do go up a little bit from where we are right now, I would say, let's see, that thing's in my way here. I can't see. Move that out of the way. Let's just say we go up 300%, right? 300%, that gets us about 268. Sorry, that gets us to, was that 300? Okay. So 306% would get us to about 356,000 here in about 2 years or so. Right, that's half of what we basically did in the last 3 years. Upside is there, I think, still in Bitcoin. I think we are still in an extended cycle here going forward, as long as we don't dip below much further from here. Right, the current correction that we've had here has been sizable, and it's not unusual that we have had this. We've had this already twice before in the past. Why is it not adjusting for me? The chart's not adjusting. I want it to be adjusted. It's probably not this one. It should be that one. Let me see. Why is it not working? Trying to get it to adjust automatically here. Let me refresh this. Leave page. Yes, I want to leave page. Refresh. There we go. All right. So the current correction that we had here recently within the last couple of weeks from October 25th, which was the peak here, all the way down to the bottom here, we got down to 35, almost 36% here. We've had this happen twice already in the past year. A year and a half, I guess you could say. Right, we had it during this year, beginning of the year, to the Trump tariffs, right? That was in April. We had a 30-some% drop at that point. We also saw a drop from 2024 before the halving event, where Bitcoin was at 70-some thousand. We dropped all the way down to 40-some thousand. There was another 30% correction at that point. So there's two right there. This is the third correction we've had here. Historically, we've had these 30% corrections in Bitcoin, at least previous cycles, like 5 to 7 corrections like that. And they were much faster. They were not as drawn out as these are. So that leads me to believe that we're still in an extended cycle going forward here. And we got also more people thinking the same thing here as well. So I don't know if the worst is behind us yet. It might still get a little bit more nastier out here with Bitcoin. But based on what I'm seeing here, I think we're getting close to it if we don't bounce from where we are right now as it is. All right, miners here. Miners, Bitfarms was down 7.66%. It was down a little bit more before it kind of bounced back up here. Bitdeer was down 7.51% there. It's also getting close to where it was, actually even lower than it actually closed here, the prior low on it, which was on November 21st. RSI is a little bit higher, so that one could go down a little bit more, right? They're going to try and push things down some more. Kango was down 6.25%. Cypher was down 13.55% there. Cleanspark was down 15.07%. This thing just dropped hard. I mean, this is the biggest drawdown that we've had in Cleanspark here in a very long time. This was 15.07% correction here, or drop, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we haven't had one of those in a while. The one prior to that was back in October, where we had 13.84%. I don't know when the last time we had such a massive drop here in Cleanspark in one day. I mean, you have to go back probably way farther back then. Here we had 15% correction here. This was back in 2024 of November. Yeah, so definitely unusual as far as activities happening here in the miners. On that one, specifically Cleanspark. CORZ was down 7.56%. Hive was down 9.15%. Hut 8 also got beat down quite a bit, 14.21% there. That one's battling with the 100 SMA. IREN was down 11.59%. Mara was down 7.12%. Riot was down 10.39%. Wolf was down 12.84%. Like I said, it was a bloodbath here in the miners. Even the Bitcoin holding companies were down quite a bit here. MicroStrategy was down 8.14. Galaxy was down 8.27. That one's bouncing off the 100 or 200 SMA on that one. MicroStrategy is just in free fall, it seems like. Block was down just a little bit, 1.13%. Coin was down 6.37%. Metaplanet was down 10.07%. Exodus was down 10.97%. Nexon was down just a little bit, 0.92%. Semler was down 10.8%, and Phoenix was down 2.95%. GameStop was actually up 4.05%. Here, go figure on that one. Small miners got beat up as well. Annie was down 6.98%. Argo was down quite a bit, 17.61% there. DigiHi was down 20.56%. DMG was down 10.04%. Mawson was down 16.05%. Canon was down 6.14%. Bitcoin miner ETFs were all down a lot. BitQ was down 9.3%. BKCH was down 10.26%. DAP was down 9.67%. WGMI was down 11.25%. Also one of the biggest drawdowns we've had here in a long time on that one. Ethereum holding companies were down also quite a bit. BMNR was down 11.22%. BitDigital was down 8%. BTCS was down 8.36%. And Game was down 5.77%. Aspet was down 9.51%. Other companies that we track here, American Bitcoin was down 7.3%. It's now $1.65. FIG was down 2.74. Wi-Fi was down 18.36. It seems like everything that was AI got beat down even more so. Open was down just a little bit, 1.37. Oracle was down 2.66. Nibius was down 7.47. Soluna, definitely one of the worst here today. It was down 25.13%. Backed was down 7.61%. Who else do we have? Fermi was down 14.87% today. That one definitely got whacked last week. That thing was down last week, 33.84%. I think there was some bad news that came out for them on that one. Who else do we have here? Meta was up a little bit, 0.51. Google was down 0.39. Amazon was down 1.61. Microsoft was down 0.78. And NVIDIA was down, up actually 0.73. So in a sea of red, we had a couple that were in the green. And like I said, I think this is a yen carry trade that's playing out right now. It's no longer free money for those guys there. And they're all, I don't know, panicking because of it, whatever it might be. So we may have a little bit more pain here to come until that unwinds, I think, and then we'll do much better here. Miners in the after hours right now are still doing not great. Bitdeer is actually up 0.61% now. Bitfarms is down 4.34%. Kango is flat on the day. Cypher is down another 3.66%. Cleanspark's down 2.22%. Of course, Scientific is down 0.2%. Hive is down 3.23%. Hut 8 is down 2.31%. IREN is down 2.56%. Mara is down less than that, 0.93%. Riot is still down, let's see, 1.68%. And TerraWolf is down 2.32%. So still red in the after hours, or pre-hours, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so there's that. Bitcoin here for the month of December, down 4.8% so far as it is. We were up 2.2% just a couple of days ago before all this happened here, before I think the weekend. And historically, December has not been a great month for us here. Okay. Next, we got here Bitcoin ETF inflows, outflows. We had outflows today, 357 million here. We're still waiting on BlackRock to report. Friday, we had actually inflows here. Thursday, we had outflows at that point. And looking at the network hash rate for Bitcoin here, it is falling down here. So some are saying that there's more blockage or more regulations coming into China to ban Bitcoin mining. It's like, how many times are they going to ban Bitcoin mining? I thought they're done with it, but it seems like they're still mining that there. But some are saying that this recent drawdown that we've had in the network hash rate is a result of like 400,000 ASICs being unplugged in China potentially, which is a lot, right? So, I mean, we peaked here on, when was this? October 23rd, we peaked at 1.3 zettahash in Bitcoin hash rate. And we've come down here recently to a low of 883 exahash, sorry. On December 4th here, we've kind of bounced back up above 100 or 1,000, I guess you could say, exahash, and came below it right now. Today, we are still at 942 exahash as it is. So it has definitely come down quite a bit from where we were. If we look at the 30-day average, which is what I like to look at because that's a little bit more, the volatility out of it is kind of removed a little bit at that point, right? So you're getting the 30-day. And here you can see we peaked at right around November 11th at 1.1 zettahash. Right now we are at 0.106 zettahash. Okay, so it has definitely come down quite a bit there from it, right? We'll take a look at some of the news stories that we have here now. Some of them are good, some of them are actually kind of bad. So breaking, here's why crypto market is just dumped. I don't know if this is the cause of it, but this was definitely interesting to take a look at here. Binance sold 4,173 Bitcoin. Coinbase sold 2,370 Bitcoin. Wintermute sold 1,126 Bitcoin. Random Whale sold 10,516. And BitMax sold 7,516. They dumped over 2 billion Bitcoin in a few minutes. This was coordinated dump. Was it coordinated? Possibly. We don't know for a fact, but definitely Bitcoin was going down here. Markets were going down as well. And then if it is the Chinese thing as well, where they're, unplugging a large amount of ASICs from the grid, that could also be a reason why we're seeing some of this drawdown in Bitcoin, as some of those operators are selling their Bitcoin to either fund, well, pay the electricity that they have to pay there, but also to possibly move their operations into other areas, whether it's China or other countries, whatever it might be. So that might be part of it there. I'm not 100% sure that's the case though. Down here, we can also see that Bitcoin dumped 3.2 thousand from 89.8 thousand to 86.6 thousand, liquidated 203 million worth of longs. All this happened in 60 minutes with no major negative news or FUD, right? Except for the Chinese thing, maybe. Another example of a 10 a.m. manipulation, which happens almost every time the U.S. market opens. Crypto really needs market structure bill, and that market structure bill is getting pushed off now into sometime 2026. I think we have a news story on that one as well. But yeah, it seems like whenever the U.S. markets open, things dump on us. When China or the Asian markets are open, things are going pretty good for Bitcoin. European markets, things are going pretty good. But whenever the U.S. markets seem to open, it dumps. So it seems like manipulation happening there because like nothing really has changed here. There's nothing really bad news there, right? Here's another one. Bitcoin is crashing, and this is the reason why. So Bitcoin is down today for a very simple reason, and almost nobody is explaining it properly. It's coming straight from China, and the timing matters. That's right. China's crashing Bitcoin again. Here's what's happening. China just tightened regulations on domestic Bitcoin mining again. That's why I says, like, how many times do they have to do this? And the Bitcoin mining ban, it seems like they ban it every single month almost. I can't pronounce this word. And Xinjiang, along, a huge chunk of mining operations were shut down in December. Roughly 400,000 miners were offline in a very short window. You can already see it in the data, right? We talked about the data here just recently. Network hash rate is down around 8%. When miners are forced offline like this, a few things happen fast, which is true. They lose revenue immediately. Obviously, you unplug machines, you're not getting revenue at that point. So they need cash to cover costs or relocate, which is true also. We saw it during the, 2021 cycle where Bitcoin, where the miners were forced out of China at that point. We saw a huge drop in the network hash rate at that point, right? So some are forced to sell Bitcoin into the market. Uncertainty spikes short term. It's kind of what we're saying. So this maybe played a little bit into it as well. That creates real sell pressure, not the other way around. This is a long-term bearish signal. This isn't a long-term bearish signal for Bitcoin. It's a temporary supply shock caused by dump policy, not demand. And I would agree with that. If this is the case, this would be definitely the way it would play out. We've seen this move before. China cracks down, miners shut off, hash rate dips, price wobbles, network adjusts, Bitcoin moves on. And we've seen that definitely for sure many, many times here already as it is. We should expect more pain in the short term, but long term, this doesn't even matter. By the way, I called the exact bottom at 16,000 3 years ago and also at the top. Okay, so this guy's pounding his chest there. And I'll call him my next move publicly like I always do. All right, which is great. So if you want to follow that person, follow him, see how he does overall. But the point there is made, obviously, right? Whenever China bans stuff, things get a little dicey here in the markets for us at that point, which isn't a big deal. If you're in it for a long term, if you're a short term trader and things like that, then yeah, it could be definitely painful when you get into some of these things that are up much higher and you sell at much lower cost, or you have to, or for whatever reason. But as long as you have a longer time frame mindset, you'll still do very well. I mean, you can just see Bitcoin over the past 5, 7, 10, 15, well, not 15 years yet, but 7, 10 years, whatever it's been, right? You can see how well it has done here. Next here, this is actually kind of good news here. So stocks tend to bottom on December 15th and rally into the end of the year. So December 25 here, you got the blue line here, right? We're kind of bottoming out here right around the 15th here, and they go back up. This is the average December on the red line. From there, we should go back up here on average. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, but it does show us that there is a probability that something like this could be in the works here right now as it is. Okay, so something to chew on there. Next here, Just In Fidelity reports that Bitcoin's 4-year cycle may be over. I've been saying that possibly for the past year or so, right? Investors believe we could be entering a super cycle. For reference, a super cycle in commodities in the 2000s spanned nearly a decade. Okay, so a super cycle, I wouldn't call it, no, they might call it a super cycle. I'd call it an extended cycle. I don't think it's going to be a super cycle where we go to $1 million here in the next, 3-4 years. I think it's going to take us maybe a little bit longer than that. I would say probably within the next 10 years, we could probably get there. But just the price action we've seen here in Bitcoin the last year alone, it's been very muted. The volatility has been definitely much more muted than in the past as well, which leads me to believe that the gains will be there over the long term. It's just going to be, we're not going to probably see these huge gains like we've seen in the past, where you're up 200, 300% in a year, right? We might see, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here a little bit, 40, 50% gains in a year or something like that, maybe even less than that, like 30% gains, and that would be fine. As long as you can still do better than the general market overall, I think that's still a great return on your investment here overall. And then you compound it over a number of years, and it still looks very, very promising there. So this is kind of where my mindset is, at least right now. All right, so there's that. Next here, CNBC announced live on TV that banking giant JP Morgan will now accept Bitcoin as collateral. Bitcoin is going mainstream. And yeah, I mean, this is part of the adoption curve that we're seeing here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is definitely going much more mainstream. Well, I wouldn't say maybe mainstream. It's been mainstream. It's now going down Wall Street, basically. The Wall Street's paying attention to all of this that's happening here with Bitcoin. And they have a lot more power than Main Street does. So that's why we could be getting manipulated here with Bitcoin right now as it is, right? Trying to get Bitcoin at a much lower rates or much lower prices, and then they're going to move it back up here at their whim, I guess you could say. Okay. Next here we have, we talked about this here a little bit, right? Break-in Senate Banking Committee confirms crypto market structure bill will progress in 2026. So they're coming up with their scheduled holidays and things like that. It doesn't look like it's going to progress from there. So we are probably looking sometime in Q1 possibly for this to get passed as well. We were hoping that it would get passed in December, right? But it doesn't look like it right now, which is okay as long as it gets passed here within the next, I would say, 2 quarters or so. All right, here we got some, maybe put our little tinfoil hats on maybe. But we have some rumors swirling around that IREN and XAI might be in talks for their Sweetwater site. At least we're guessing here, right? So this is a rumor. Nothing's confirmed here, but this is what it states. IREN, I'm not saying that this is true because I have no idea, but Dan is a very reputable IREN researcher here on X. If it turns out to be true, and if Elon does a deal with IREN, in my opinion, IREN price would do a 5x in like 3 seconds when the deal is announced. Yeah, if they did a deal for the whole 2 gigawatts or something like that, yeah, the stock would rip like crazy here. But here's what we got. So down below, we got the tech investor. Who's the customer who needs IREN's 2 gigawatts of Sweetwater 1 and 2 combined? Name another company that can offer 2 gigawatts in one place. There are a number of customers out there who are looking particularly for scale in terms of their deployments, and obviously being able to offer 2 gigawatts is obviously massive there, right? Dan replies here, XAI, the Memphis site is getting stretched thin. Musk needs a 2 gigawatt Blackwell cluster ASAP, and he will make it happen. Rumors are Musk and Mike Alfred have been talking. If so, he is not going to beat around the bush. So yes, I have seen posts from Mike where he reached out to Elon Musk. Elon Musk accepted his contact information or his request for whatever friendship. And last post I saw was that they are in talks. What those talks entail, we don't know. All right, but that's kind of where the rumor is starting here, basically on that information alone. If, and it's a big if they do partner up, that's going to be huge for IREN. And also huge for XAI, because they'll give them obviously access to 2 gigawatts of power that they are hungry for. We've seen XAI build out extremely, extremely quickly when they set their mind on something, right? And I think that's more on Elon Musk than anything else. He is going to be probably one of the first persons to be worth $1 trillion here in the next couple of years as SpaceX goes public, and maybe eventually XAI goes public as well. We don't know. But I think with SpaceX itself going public, he is going to be close to being valued at close to $1 trillion there. And that's not by mistake, right? He has been one of the most revolutionary individuals in the United States economy, society, whatever you want to call it. Whether you agree with his viewpoints or not, he is a force to be reckoned with when it comes to getting things done. Their Colossus 1 site was built in record time and installed with NVIDIA hardware in record time as well. So they will get this done if they want to get it done relatively quickly here. The other part of it is the build out will be quick. So instead of, I'm guessing, taking 1.5 years to 2 years to build out, they'll probably do this in under a year. Once the deal does go through, if it goes through, we don't know yet. But that is something that I would be willing to bet wholeheartedly that that's going to happen there, because XAI is in a battle with OpenAI, Google itself, for Gemini, Anthropic as well, others. They they are plowing money into this like nobody's business there. So this is very, very exciting. Hopefully this does happen, right? I'd love to see XAI with IREN there. Those are like my two favorite companies right now in the space. I love what XAI is doing with Grok, with everything else. I mean, they're just knocking it out of the park. So fingers crossed, and we get something great for investors here in IREN, but time will tell. So, all right, tinfoil hats off for now. Next here we have HC Wainwright here. For those who have missed the last week's fireside chat with Cleanspark, here how the company plans to transition 250 megawatts of gross power capacity at Sandersville facility in Georgia from energizing Bitcoin mining data centers today to powering high-performance computing data centers purpose-built to support AI workloads over the next year. Let's take a quick listen to this. This is only a couple minutes long here. I think we can squeeze this in, but this is obviously Matthew Schultz there and Gary V as well. And let's listen in here to the chat.
It sounds like the Sandersville conversion opportunity is the main focus at the moment. If you could just explain what that conversion process entails, timeline to delivery. Let's say if you were to secure a co-location contract with a counterparty here, how long do you go from mining Bitcoin today to having all 250 megawatts of gross power capacity transitioned over to HPC? And then, really ultimately what your plans are from a timing perspective on the new greenfield site for Texas.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting approach that we have. What you're reading about data centers, I think around the globe, is that there's power constraints for 26 and 27 delivery. So Sandersville is energized today. We're actively mining 11 exahash of Bitcoin. Substations built. The relationships with the utilities are long established. What we've done is we've secured additional acreage, and on that additional acreage, we can purpose build a campus to the reference architecture for the end user, for the offtake client. Because what we found is that depending on the type of cluster that they're interested in deploying, there are specific reference architecture requirements. So rather than tilt up a data center and try and modify it to fit, the plan is to use the acreage that we have available to build up a powered shell and then slot in a factory-built mechanical, electrical, and plumbing solution that's designed to the cluster, be that AMD or NVIDIA or whatever that end customer looks like. So the beauty to that is with a factory-built MEP solution, we build the powered shell, which can be done in about a year. So all of the challenging components of building a data center in the field, the fiber, the mechanical, the plumbing, et cetera, those are all built in a factory. So those are then slotted in. So we can mine Bitcoin up until the day that we shift the power over. Then we can migrate that 11 exahash of Bitcoin mining to blockchain specific energy tariffs that we have in other jurisdictions we currently operate. The reason that Texas was so appealing to us is the ERCOT large load study, the application process, and the energization schedule were fully complete. So we have an energization schedule for the first 207 megawatts in early 27. So we've got power available now in Sandersville. We can build out for a tenant that, in theory, we could meet the timelines for late 26, ready for deployment, to allow the end use tenant the time to complete their construction and networking such that they could be energized and operating by mid 27. So it provides tremendous value because there, quite frankly, aren't 250 available megawatts for a hyperscaler in many instances around the country. So this allows us to do a couple things, Mike. We can maximize the 11 exahash of Bitcoin mining that we have there because the time between now and halving is obviously very critical to us. We can then switch it over to suit the needs of that tenant in a rapid manner. And then we can use that Bitcoin mining asset that we have to use as a sales tool to develop other energy relationships.
Okay, so obviously pretty interesting there, right? A nice switch over if they can do it. But basically what they're talking about there is the Centerville site. They're going to continue buying Bitcoin there until a site next door. Basically, they have 100 acres plus, I think, that's available to them. They can build out on that. Once that build out is done, they can basically just disconnect the Bitcoin mining side of the business and connect to the HPCI business, which is great because that way you're not disturbing your Bitcoin mining side of the business, which is generating obviously a lot of cash for you right now. And you can do that while the other part of it is being built out, and you don't have to worry about taking machines out, losing revenue from it. So it's a nice way to do it. Is it the best way to do it? I don't know, but I think it's definitely a nice way to do it. And it's great to see that they're progressing in this way. Okay. Next here we have also on Cleanspark here really quick. Institutions are not just holding Cleanspark, but they are still accumulating here. Even if the price is down 62%, while retail was crying, whales were buying, now sitting at 240 million shares held by institutions, 450 longs, 11 shorts. What do you think will happen next? Right, we've seen this across the board with all of these companies here. It's not just Cleanspark, it's IREN, it's Bitfarms, it's Bitdeer, it's all of these guys more or less. Institutions are buying heavily, while retail is panicking, selling out, and it could be also driven by market manipulation, which is done by the big guys here, right? They're shorting them or whatnot, driving people to get out, whether you want to call them lettuce hands, paper hands, chart squigglers, whatever it is. These guys are getting out while the big guys are getting in. They're making their bets, making their positions, and they're going to win in the end here, right? So don't get spooked out of the market just yet. I think these drawdowns are unfortunate, but they're necessary to clean up some of the long positions that we do have here, some leveraged positions as well, and give it time here. I don't know if we're going to rally, obviously, towards the end of the year here. Santa rally would be nice, but I don't know if that's going to happen here, but I'm guessing towards sometime in 2026, we're definitely going to rally much higher from where we are right now, or even where we were just a couple of weeks ago. I don't see that as being a problem. I don't see that as it's a short-term problem for us. Obviously, with prices going down, it's definitely painful. But long-term, I think the end goal is still going to be much higher here from where we are right now. That's just my take on it. Could I be wrong? Yes, I could definitely be wrong on this. All right, that's it. So let's get into some of the stories that we do have here really quick. The only one that I really do have here is on Bitdeer. Bitdeer announces their November 2025 production update and operations update here. So they increased their self-mining hash rate to 45.7 exahash on continued deployment of seal miners. Bitcoin production increased 251% year over year to 526%. This is fantastic to see from them. It's one of the things I said last year, that a lot of their growth is going to be in this year, and we are definitely seeing it here right now as it is. They're not being really valued on this growth here for maybe, I don't know, some reasons, right? Singapore-based, maybe some Chinese ties. I don't know what the issue there is. Maybe not being in the United States. They do have operations in the United States, but maybe they're not like headquartered in the United States. I don't know if that's an issue. But nonetheless, institutions are still buying into them. We'll take a look at that here in a second on my sheet here, which is where I track it there. But going down here, Bitdeer will continue to deploy seal miner mining rigs for self-mining while currently retiring third-party older generation rigs. More likely I don't know if they have any Canon, but I'm pretty sure that they have the Bitmain machines there. Okay. As far as mining rig models, Seal Miner A3 here, they have right now deployed just 0.6 exahash on it. The Seal Miner A2, they are now at 34.3 exahash. That's a huge amount. A large portion of that is these A2s. Seal Miner A1 is a very small amount there, 4.2 exahash on it. And that's how we get the combined 47.3 exahash as it is. And Seal Miner R&D. So planned 2 different chip designs of Seal 04 to ensure success, named Seal 041 and Seal 042. Respectively, Seal 041 chips, latest verification demonstrated approximately 6 to 7 joules per terahash power efficiency at the chip level under low voltage, ultra power savings mode, right? So they have come pretty close to their target. The target was like 5 joules per terahash on the Seal 04 chips there. So that's still good. That's not where they wanted to be, and that's why they're now also looking at the Seal 04 chip, which continues to be under development as it is, which I think that's the one that they're trying to get down to around 5 joules per terahash as it is. Okay. HPCI progress here as of November 2025, 720 GPUs were or have been deployed for cloud services with a utilization rate of approximately 94%, including 609 GPUs under external subscription, and the rest of the cards used for internal R&D. And then their annual recurring revenue here reached approximately 10 million as of the end of November, reflecting strong growth over 8 million recorded in October. The company expects another meaningful increase in December. The momentum demonstrates robust market demand and our growing capability to deliver scalable AI cloud services, which is good. And then they secured a 2 megawatt AI data center lease in Malaysia to host 8 GB200 systems, with the facility expected to be ready for launch by year-end 2025 or shortly thereafter. Customer demand for this capacity has already been identified, so that's great there. And new GPU order of 16 newly ordered B300 systems and 2 additional GB300 systems with full deployment targeted for completion by February 2026. So those are still definitely a ways out, not too far out, 3 months out or something like that. Infrastructure, a little update on that. Massillon, Ohio, 21 megawatts is currently online and mining rigs are being deployed. Due to recent fire, the energization of approximately 26 megawatts across 2 affected buildings have been postponed, with a revised timeline to be determined following further site assessment. The remaining 174 megawatts is expected to be energized in phases during Q2 2026, so about 4 or 5 months from now where we are. Okay. Going down here, self-mining like we talked about, 45.7 exahash, which is great. This puts them really, really close to now being in the same category as like Cleanspark, IREN, and Mara, right? Mara's definitely higher than that, but in that same spot, more or less, right? Next month when they install some more, they're probably going to be getting close to here to 50 exahash as it is. Bitcoin self-mined was 526. Bitcoin held 2,179, so that's actually down from where they were in October at 2,233. So they definitely sold quite a bit more here this time around as it is on it. Anything else down here? Nope. Love this. Obviously, the table here with the sites that they have, status of them, timing, and everything else like that. Definitely check that out if you have any questions, and all their sites as far as how they're progressing as well. All right, going down here, we'll take a look at that in a second here. The miners versus Bitcoin in the past week. We'll get into Bitdeer really quick, and then we'll get into Q&A. All right, so Bitdeer, 208 million shares outstanding. Performance over the last 12 weeks has not been great. It hasn't been great for any of these miners here. Current hash rate 45.7. Future hash rate haven't been 45.7. I think they're still looking to increase even more to like 60 exahash, maybe even beyond that next year. So we'll keep you updated when we hear any kind of announcements of that. Bitcoin, 2,233 Bitcoin is what they hodl right now. That's valued at 191 million. And that's 9.34% of their all market cap. Market cap is at 2 billion right now. So that's actually a pretty low ratio there right now for them. Bitcoin mining production here has been increasing ever since March of this year. You can see a nice steady increase each and every single month here as they've been growing their hash rate. And you can see that happening here as well from where their hash rate was and where it's at right now. They were basically at 11 exahash in beginning of the March here, or end of March, and they're up to 45.7 exahash right now as it is. Huge growth here for them. We've seen obviously revenue ramp up nicely here. In March they had 9.7 million here. They're up to 58.3 million in October. They're down to 50.6 million even though they mine more, but Bitcoin price has been coming down. That is a result of that, unfortunately. Excuse me. Estimated current run rate for them is 607 million here. Bitcoin hodl went down a little bit like we talked about to 2,179. They sold about 580 Bitcoin there, it seems like. And that's about 55 million roughly of what they sold there. So in November. BTC per exahash efficiency is still pretty good there, 11.5. Going down here to institutions. We'll talk about that here really quick. Institutions increased by 50 institutions here month over month to 251. Shares also increased quite a bit there to 64.99 million. And that is that should be up 36.35% there. There is an error there. I forgot the dot. Yeah, so it's 36.35%. We now have 11 strong buy ratings for them. 2 buy ratings, 0 holds, 0 performs, 0 sells. Price target stays the same for the high, $50. The average went up to $34.15, and the low went up to $25 there. So they are, where are they at right now? They are at $9.85, right? Definitely much lower from where the analysts are thinking they should be. Going down here for the month of November, had them mining for approximately 27.39 days. They got us to the 50.638 million there, and that worked out pretty good here. And as far as my valuation on them, where do I think they should be? I think they should be somewhere between 21.85 and 32.77. So they're definitely way undervalued from where they are. Like I said before, earlier on, I don't know if it's because they don't have headquarters here in the United States, if that's the issue. If they had some possible ties with China, we don't know. right? That's speculation, right? There's no concrete information on that. I don't know if that's playing into this reason why it's being valued the way it is. Could it be also that the SealMiner 04 chip did not get to 5 joules per terahash? Is that a reason why? I'm not sure. Is it also the low sales of the SealMiner chips to other companies as well? If that's playing into it, could be a number of things here that are playing into why this stock is valued the way it is. Obviously, we're in a downturn in the general market overall on AI and Bitcoin as well, so that's probably playing into it more so. And eventually, I think they will kind of pump back up here as time progresses, and as well as Bitcoin gets a little bit more favorable outlook, and AI too possibly, which I think will happen next year. Overall, they've been doing a very, very great job here. Fantastic job, a beautiful job in the last year in growth in their hash rate. Like I said before, I talked about it last year, that they will have a lot of growth happening in the second half of 2025. And it is the case here right now, and we're seeing that play out. So, and they still have a lot of more growth here happening as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't see anything bad with them. I think they're doing pretty good here. The only thing that I could see maybe being an issue, at least from Q3 numbers here, is the current ratio, right? That's kind of low there. Maybe that's part of it. Debt to equity is kind of high as well. Always want to see that lower. So maybe that's partially why that is, right? Total current assets was 1.2 billion. Current liabilities at the end of Q3 was 1.4. So maybe that also plays into it there to a certain extent. But overall, their growth has been really good here. All right, so that's it on that one. Next, let's take a look at the miners here as far as how did they do last week against Bitcoin. This is the one I was going to do yesterday's show, but I ran into some technical difficulties. Still have a little bit of technical difficulties right now as it is. Terrawolf and Strategy, for whatever reason, are not being populated for their end of day close on Friday, right? I have this done automatically with formulas and things like that. For whatever reason, those two are not populating, at least today. Yesterday, I had like none of these populating here. So at least it's an improvement from what we had yesterday. So here's what we got. At least how the miners have done over the last 52 weeks from their 52-week lows here. Cypher's still up 816%, more or less. IREN's up 683%. HUT's up 311. Bitfarms up 307. CORZ up 166. Riot 147%. Hive 142. Cleanspark 117. Bitdeer 55. And Bitcoin's only up 21% from its 52-week lows. So we're still doing really, really well overall. Short term, painful, right? Long term, if you look back and kind of zoom out a little bit, things are still looking pretty good. Now, obviously, if you bought into any of these things recently here where they were a little bit higher, you're feeling the pain more so than others, right? A lot of you guys that have been with me for a long time know that I got into these things much earlier on, much lower prices. I'm still in profit. I know some of you guys are now in the red on this, and I definitely feel for you. I've been there multiple times here in the last 3-4 years with these guys, where at times we were doing great in the green, and then within a couple of weeks we were in the red again. And at those times, those were the times that were the best ones to possibly dollar cost average and buy into them some more if you have conviction in them, right? Not financial advice as always on that side of things, but that's kind of what I've done here, and that has definitely helped out here. Down below, you can see how far the miners are away from their 52-week highs here. A lot of these guys are, 32%, almost 28%, 30%, 28% here for Bitcoin. And you got some that are way down, like 58% away, 73% for Kango, 60%, 61% as well. So, yeah, we're definitely down from where we were just a couple weeks ago here. Looking at the 1 week's time frame wise, Strategy and Terrawolf are missing here. Like I said, that data is for whatever reason is not being pulled in here. But surprisingly, Kango had the best week last week. It was up 6% here. Riot was up 2% along with Cleanspark. Bitcoin is actually up 1%, and I check Friday to Friday. That's kind of the days that I do it. Marathon and Hive were down 2%. Hut 8 was down 3% along with Core there. Bitfarms was down 6%. Bitdeer 10% along with IREN. And Cypher was down 12% there. And here's a 4-week look at it, how it looks. Everything was pretty much in the green except for IREN being down 5% from 4 weeks ago. Some of these guys had a really good 4-week run here. Cleanspark being on 44% there, had a really nice run. But from 8 weeks ago, everything's in the red here. You can see that Bitdeer being down 54%, Hive being down 49%. Bitcoin's only down 19% roughly. Kango's down 39, Riot's down 29 along with Cleanspark down 28, whereas IREN's down 36. So everything's been beaten down here. And when we look at the 12 weeks, things look a little bit different at this point. You can see that Cypher's up quite nicely, 49%. Bitcoin is still down 18%. Marathon down 29. Kango down 36. Bitdeer down 36. Hot being up 25% up. Bitfarms up 8%. Cleanspark being up 8%. So it's been a wacky, wild ride here in the last 12 weeks, 36, I would say maybe even 16 weeks at this point right now as it is. So it is what it is. Market's going to be the markets. Market can be irrational longer than you and I can remain solvent, it seems like. As long as we don't do anything foolish, we should be okay in the long term, right? So I'm still bullish long term. Short term, we've been through this so many times. Like I said, I'm kind of like numb to it right now. I am looking to buy possibly more here if we do dip even more. So we'll see how we play out the rest of this week here until possibly when the Bank of Japan announces rate increases, or do they hold it still, right? We'll see what happens at that point. But that's it. I'll get this available to you guys here tomorrow. For the Patreon members, link for that is down in the description if you want to help support what I do, a couple bucks a month for that. And you get access to our private Discord server as well, which we have a bunch of great people there providing their insights and thoughts and commentary and jokes and everything else. It is a great space to be on there. I read a lot of stuff up there. I may not comment as much as I'd like to, but I do read a lot of it. So great stuff there. All right, that's it. Let's get into Q&A here. See what you guys have to say, and we'll call it a day here. And I need to take a sip of my water here because my throat's starting to get dry here. So as always, questions. If you could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. All right, let's get back into the swing of things here with some questions, comments, and anything else. I'm going to scroll my way up as always and work my way down. There were a lot of comments here happening before the beginning of the show here. So let's see here. Let's see. Daryl says, I will continue to the dollar cost average as they go lower. Obviously, the stocks here, yes. I'm looking to do the same thing here. Daryl says, if Bitcoin keeps dropping, you may be waiting for another month at least. Yeah, I hope it doesn't take that long for us to find the bottom here, but you never know. Roger says, Sailor buys 2 billion of Bitcoin in past week, and we go down. What's up with that? Yeah, it's just... It could be a combination of things. We talked about it. It could be the yen carry trade. It could be also the Chinese Bitcoin ban again on mining. Right? All those things could have been playing into it here. It could be just regular manipulation here happening as well. HP says, went up, being up 120% on IREN to now being down on it. Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen here. The only thing I would have done in your case would have been dollar cost average, and that's exactly what I have done in the past. It's just dollar cost average into these things. Dan says we are going to 60,000 Bitcoin. Happy winter, guys. Oh, gosh, I hope that is not the case there. But, yeah, I think if we go into 60,000, then there would be a repeat of the prior cycles as well. At that point, Bitcoin would be down 50%. And so far, we've only seen like 30-some% drawdown. So I'm hoping that it holds the 80,000 mark going forward here. But we'll see. Let's see. Kamikaze Mutaki says it's the dip after the real dip after the dippity dip. Yeah, it does happen here multiple times during a cycle. Talked about that one here. All right. Daryl says this sector is extremely manipulated. You will need to take profits when up and then buy back when they drop. That is definitely true. I always say, if you're in profits, take profits there. I may not take profits, but probably should. I have just a longer time frame as far as investing is concerned here. Let's see, what else we got here? Daryl says the only difference between me and Seb is when I am up, I take a little off the table, which is a good thing to do, right? I always say no shame in taking profits there. If you do that, great. I am terrible at timing. Right, I probably should have taken profits multiple times along the way here, but I still am looking at a much longer time frame, and I think these things will still go up much higher from where they are right now. Short term, yes, I probably could have done better if I sold at certain points and bought back in at certain points, but then you're also having to deal with capital gains, all that stuff. I don't want to deal with that. I have convictions, a lot of these guys here, and I'm willing to hold on to them a little bit longer, buy the dips here, and eventually I will take profits. And, but some luck and some good planning, it's hopefully going to be much higher from where it's at right now. That's at least the plan. All right. See, Pete says, but more importantly, let's decipher what tomorrow holds. Hopefully tomorrow we bounce a little bit here. We had a rough day today. I'm hoping that we bounce a little bit there. Let's see. Rob says, I was just watching Rambo 2 First Blood, where he is on the plane getting ready to parachute into Vietnam. Never give up, guys. Never give up. That's for sure. You got to stay positive, even though at times it is hard to be positive in this market. But that's a great movie. Love that one. I actually enjoyed that one more so than the first one. The first one was a little weird, right? The guy's in the city there, in the town, and just goes haywire there. But it was still good. All right. Dan says the bull market is over. I don't think the bull market's over yet, Dan. You might be right. Could be wrong. I'm not going to say that, you're out of your mind or anything like that, because who knows? Maybe I'm out of my mind. Pete says, hi, Seba, what a day. Huh? Yeah, it's been a fun day. It's been a fun couple of weeks here. Okay. Kamikaze Mutaki says, if we're following previous cycle, we're going well below. Yeah. If we have a repeat of the prior cycles, which I don't believe is the case here, but there's still a chance that it could happen here, right? It's not a 100% chance that it won't. Then yeah, then I would say we're going down to like probably 47,000 here, I think, somewhere around there. That is at least what I thought would happen potentially this cycle around. I thought maybe we'd get to 180,000 this cycle, and then come back down to like 47,000 at the new bottom, and go up from there much higher at that point. Let's see. John says, I did jump out the window today. Unfortunately, I was in the basement, so you didn't fall that much. You didn't get hurt. That's a good thing. I hope nobody jumps out the window, right? You can always make the money back if you need to, depending on how old you are, right? If you're a little bit older and you're getting close to retirement, then that is probably not great feeling at that point, but it's not the end, right? You always have family. You always have friends. Don't ever let anything like this bring you to that point where that is your only decision, right? Okay, let's see. Jordan says the rookies are all getting their first end of the year crash in the minors. Could be also, yeah. I mean, we do have some new people here as well. Let's see. All right, Kranz. Seb, this market going way lower. Futures market's already showing signs of rough day tomorrow. Bencon says the low should be around October. So we have a rough road in like next year, October, that the low's going to be. Like I said, I just don't see that playing. I could be wrong, but I just don't see that playing out. I can't pronounce that, so I do apologize. That it smells like bear market ahead. Again, I don't think we're going to be in a bear market. I mean, we still have people talking about the S&P going to like 7,700 and possibly even higher than that next year. Could we have a dip? Yeah, we could have a dip on the markets before we rally higher. That's not out of the question. But I don't think we're like in a bear market for the next 2 years or something like that. All right. All right. Daryl says, question, you think maybe there is no extended cycle and it will just be a shorter, smaller pullback of a winter? How would you define that, right? As far as a shorter pullback, how much of a shorter pullback? Because like we've seen already 2 times already before, we had 30 some odd percent drawdowns that were, several months long. So is that what you're kind of talking about? Right? It's kind of what I would think. So that would kind of coincide with my theory of an extended cycle as well. If we only have these kind of shallower pullbacks of 30 some percent, and we go back up over, an extended period of time as well, and then we come back down over a period of time for 30%, this could be just one of those things. All right. Let's see. Paul Paco says, Tesla was great today. I saw that. That thing is doing pretty good there. Okay. Kokani John says, I'm starting to panic a little bit. Patience, I think. C primary starting to panic as well. C panic. Yeah, a lot of you guys are starting to panic here a little bit. Patience. I think the big thing I've always said is patience, right? In these things. if you've ever been into them for a longer period of time, you've been through this before, you're kind of, well, I shouldn't say you should be, but I'm definitely kind of muted on this as it is already. Okay. What else we got here? Rob says, no need to panic. Just remain calm like Rambo and do your mission. Save it POW, meaning DCA. Okay. Nice analogy there. Kokani John says, I am still up. I don't want to be underwater on my portfolio. Nobody wants to be underwater on their portfolio, right? So you have to look inside, look into your own thought process. Are you in it for a longer period of time, next maybe 2 years or something like that with these guys? Then I wouldn't worry too much. If you're in it for a shorter period of time where you're a trader, then yeah, I mean, you got to know yourself. You got to know what you hold also. You got to do the due diligence on these things. And do you think that the market is going to crash in the next year? I would say. I don't think it is for a number of reasons, right? Rate cuts are happening here. We'll get a new Fed next year. We'll have more rate cuts. Quantitative easing is happening as well. What else is going to happen? I mean, obviously the rate cuts are going to spur the economy a little bit there. But we also have the midterm elections next year, which I think the Trump administration is going to do everything in their power to have a nice, smoking hot, market going into that midterms. That they want obviously jobs to do very well as well. All those things will help them, get possibly reelected and maybe win some seats there. Possibly, we don't know. We'll see. All right. Andre says there is no correlation between the stock price and the value of these companies. I have to believe the stock prices will catch up to the value in time. It's just a matter of when, who knows, 2026. I agree with you there exactly, right? Let's see. C Primary says, true, but I want a few holiday gifts. Well, sometimes you have to delay gratification, right? And I think a lot of people don't do that. I think people want the instant gratification on a lot of things. They are not willing to delay that gratification for a time somewhere in the future. And that's how people get into financial troubles, unfortunately, because they can't delay those gratifications. So I'll just leave it at that. All right. See, Daryl says, Cleanspark is now lower than my original share price from over 4 years ago. Thank goodness I bought more at the lows and sold some at the highs all along the way. Very nice. Yeah. So you dollar cost average in there. Kokani John said, are you thinking of selling or keeping your IREN stocks? I'm keeping. I'm actually looking to buy some more if we dip even further here. If we get down under probably 30s and the 20s, I'll probably start nibbling again and buying some more at that point. Matt Chimney says, Bitcoin bear market officially started in early October. It's simply following the 4-year cycle, just like every previous cycle. This time is no different. You could be right. But the cycles have been different. At least this cycle has been completely different from the prior cycles. So we shall see. I mean, we'll know in a couple months. If Bitcoin's, below 70, 60,000, then it's a similar cycle. If we're still holding here, or above 80,000 in the next couple months, then it might be a pretty good case for extended cycle as well. All right. Kokani John says, I think I'm down 600,000 right now. I'm guessing that is from the top where you were to where you are right now. I don't think you're in the red 600,000, or at least I hope you're not. All right. Sadie, thank you so much for the likes there. Daryl's got a question here. Would you add more Cleanspark or IREN right now? I am currently equally invested in both right now. I think it's getting pretty close to, it'll depend on the valuation that you see of IREN in the future here. Next, I would say year to year and a half or something like that. Oh man, sorry, throat's starting to get dry. And I get a tickle in my throat. Cleanspark right now, I think should be at least an easy 2x. IREN is getting to that point as well, where I think it should be an easy 2x from where it is right now also. So that makes it a little bit more challenging as far as which one to go into. I own a lot of Cleanspark and I own also a lot of IREN. IREN has definitely outperformed Cleanspark here in the last year for me as well. But as far as dollar-wise, how much I put into each one, they're pretty close to each other. They're like within a couple $1,000s of each other. So I think IREN might have a little bit more potential from where it's at price right now, 33, what is it at, 30 some odd dollars right now as it is. We do have a lot of analysts calling for above $100 here, so that would be at least a 3x from where we are right now. Cleanspark, I think, should be somewhere, between high 20s and like low 30s. So that's also getting close to being a 3x for it. So you got to look at it that way, I guess. Which one do you think can go up faster, and you can get the most X out of it? But yeah, those are great companies there. Let's see, HKMP asks, any more catalysts coming up? We have data coming out this week. I think, what do we have coming out this week? Is it the jobs report? Something's coming out this week. I can't remember what. There's some stuff coming up. Neil says, pump and dump. Kokani, I hope that IREN rumor goes through. I need my IREN stocks to recover. It will recover. Like I said, I think you just need to be patient there. And a lot of people aren't patient, unfortunately. Daryl, I think this year is only the third time that the S&P has had greater return than Bitcoin, but that never happened in bull run. Geez, I'd have to look at that. You might be right on that one. All right. Let's see. And Daryl says the Bitcoin bull is getting old and tired. LOL. He's still got a life in him. I'm not too worried about that. All right. And Toronto says, I'm down on everything in my portfolio, but very hopeful for 2026. Hopefully you're down, but not in the red, I'm hoping. As you've been with me for a little while here, I believe. So I'm hoping that you got in at much lower prices than where we are right now still. Rob says, hang in there, don't sell. Ann says, definitely not selling anything, okay. Let's see, Ann says, good time to buy. Unfortunately, I spent all my money. We do have holidays obviously coming up, so a lot of people are a little tapped out as it is right now. So maybe not the most opportunistic time for Bitcoin to be going down along with the miners. But like I said, I am looking to possibly nibble a little bit here as well. Rob says, I wonder if we get any new news from Bitfarms. I see them being the Wonder Boy stock that will rise rapidly and hugely. We will hear of deals in the making soon. I hope that's the case there. I'd love to see that for sure. But I don't know if we're going to see any deals here. I'd love to see it, but maybe not until like Q2, Q3 of next year. Robert, Seb, are you saying Bitdeer is rising from the smaller company status to big company status? Market-wise, it's still a small company, right? Compared to some of these guys here, it's still $2 billion valuation on it right now. I think it is. I think it's getting into. They have a lot of infrastructure. They have a lot of megawatts as well, but they're just not being valued on it. But same with all of the other guys here right now. They're not being valued on it. IREN is still not being valued from where it really probably should be as well. So, yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Bitdeer for sure. I'd like to see them do more sales on their seal miners as well. Those have come down in Q3 from Q2, which was kind of surprising to me. But yeah, maybe they're gonna have to do some kind of magical financing like Bitmain does on those things. I don't know. We'll see. Leo D7 says diamond hands here. Nice. Kokani John says potential lettuce hands here. Okay, well, hopefully not. And Toronto diamond hands. Nice. Black Iced K. Question, if miners face a prolonged recovery with ongoing dilution, wouldn't that make previous all-time highs significantly harder to reclaim? Okay, a lot of these guys are not really diluting that much anymore. They're going through this convertible note route, which pushes off the dilution into 2030, 2031, 2032, and even maybe 2033, I think, for somebody. So they're not really using the ATM as much as they were in the past. They have found other ways to fund their growth, and then they're getting new convertible notes to pay off old notes with not much dilution, and they're actually using convertible notes to also buy back shares. So I don't know. I don't think that's going to be the case here, unless they really do start. We start seeing ATMs popping up for some of these guys here. But right now, it's definitely been different. Black Iced K. What's the floor for IREN? It keeps going down. Let's take a look at IREN here really quick. Take a look at the chart here. See what we can gather out of that. We'll do some chart chart squiggling here together. Let's see, IREN right now. Okay, pull this up for you guys so you guys can see it. All right, our side on the daily. We are at right now 33, roughly. So we could possibly come down a little bit more before everything is said and done here. So that's why I'm saying somewhere between 25 and 30 is where we could bottom out potentially, if that's the case here. At least that's kind of what I'm seeing here on the daily. Weekly, obviously we've come way down here. Weekly is on the 49. Last time we were back down here, we were at, what is that price point? At $8. So, and we bounced off of that, but that was just a little drawdown. Prior to that, we were down to 36 here. A couple of times here where we kind of bounced off of that roughly area. Yeah, so I'm thinking $25 to $30 might be the low there if we continue to go down here on that one. It's kind of at least what I'm thinking. Okay, a couple more questions here, and we'll call it a day. All right, Black ISK, are you confident in IREN executing? Any minor issues might drag the stock down even more. I am confident in the team there, the management team, CEO, obviously, their CEOs. They have done a fantastic job over the last couple of years growing their Bitcoin mining side of the business and expanding their megawatts and everything else. So I'm not too concerned in that regard. Any minor issues that might drag them down? Not that I'm aware of currently. The only big thing is obviously being able to execute on their data center build out and things like that for Microsoft. As long as there's no hiccups there, things should be okay. All right, the Leod 7 there. How long would it take for Bitfarms to decorrelate from the crypto space? How long will it take? I'm guessing probably another year to 2 years, because they are targeting to get rid of Bitcoin mining completely in the next 2 to 3 years, I think. So somewhere around there. So I think they may decouple from that at that point. All right. Roger says, since when do we get a bear market when the Fed is getting ready to print? Yeah, good question there, and I agree with you. Okay, Gamify says, thoughts on Epstein files released on Friday, and if that could affect Bitcoin. I don't know how that would affect Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't know. Don't really care. Obviously, the people that had anything to do with it should be probably in jail. Don't know who those people are. Not in that realm there. All right. Dale says, love your calm, collective, optimistic perspective. Hit the like, people. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mortip says, sort of crazy what's happening since we just got a third rate cut this year and Trump will control the Fed after May. I know, right? I agree there. It is kind of crazy. Mortip, the question, if we get a send-off rally, do you think miners will participate? I do think if we get a center rally, then I think all of these things will participate here because they've been beaten down quite tremendously here. All right. Connie asks, would you sell Cleanspark shares in order to buy IREN shares? Better opportunity. I did that in the past. I have sold Cleanspark shares last year to buy IREN shares. I've also sold IREN shares and Cleanspark shares to buy, what's that one? Cypher shares. So I have done that opportunistically in the past. I don't know if I would do it right now, only because of the price of where IREN's at right now. And I think that both of these guys could still do a quick and easy 2 to 3x from where they are. Obviously IREN's got more megawatts they could possibly throw at, but I'm happy with where I have both of these at price-wise. So, yeah, that's, I don't think I would, to be honest with you. Talked about that one. Okay. Michael says futures are red big. Are they that? Let me see here. On the S&P. Yeah, no, yeah, Bitfarms is down 4.74% right now. Kango, let's see, Cypher is down 3.39%. So maybe that's good. Maybe if we have a big red futures, we'll bounce on tomorrow. That's kind of what I'm thinking there. All right. Let's see. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name there. I'm just going to call you Abi. Let's see. I already have Cleanspark and IREN. I am thinking I go into Bitdeer now. The fire, the FUD, the CEO not joining the calls, lawsuits is what is weighing it down. What do you think? Would you get into it? I've talked about that in the past as well. The last couple of months, I've talked about this. That I mean, it does look appealing right now from where it's at. I probably wouldn't go heavy into it, but I would definitely put some into it. I think the companies that operate in the United States, have offices in the United States, and are headquartered in the United States, will possibly do better. But we're obviously seeing institutions buying into them like crazy here as well. So that's a good sign for me also. They at least have conviction in this stock. So yeah, I would say it might not be a bad opportunity to buy into it if you're on the fence on it before. If you're looking to buy into it, I think right now is probably a good entry point. But just be ready for it to go down a little bit more. All right. Black Ice says, I feel like we will end green today or tomorrow. I think tomorrow probably. All right. Morton, is IREN reducing mining capacity? The association with BTC is not helping currently. I don't think so here's a weird thing, right? The miners, if you look at miners, how they have performed over the past year, from the beginning of the year to where they are right now, they have kicked Bitcoin's butt completely up and down. Yes, Bitcoin's down a little bit here recently, but as these guys have outperformed Bitcoin tremendously this year, their drawdown here because of the AI FUD, I think, is more driven by that than Bitcoin being down a little bit, being down 35%. I think that's what's causing these guys to go down more so. It's just the AI narrative. We had a lot of FUD happening here the last couple of weeks about it, and I think this is just playing out on that. I think the yen carry trade now is also leading to a lot of this stuff being unwind as it is. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out, though. But I think long term, we're still good. All right. Abby asks, let's see here. Which one is the most undervalued right now after today's bloodbath? Is it Bitdeer, Cleanspark, or Hive? Let me see if I can pull that data up. Let me see, where would I probably... So we could possibly look at the enterprise metrics on these guys here. Enterprise market cap. Let's see, which one might be a good one here. Maybe just the enterprise right now. Okay, let's look at this one. I think this one just gives you at least one data point here. So if we look at the current enterprise value per exahash, we can see that Hive is still way down, 26 million. Even Bitdeer is at 45 million right now. At one point, was it earlier this year or last year? I can't remember now. Bitdeer was I think it was earlier this year. Bitdeer was like the top valued one, where it was just ridiculously priced at that point. Whereas, being valued at, I don't know if it was like over 200 million, but I know it was definitely like one of the top overpriced ones. And it's definitely come back down here. Yes, Cleanspark still at 57 million and Marathon at 70 million. So those are definitely under there. Riot is somewhere in the middle, I guess you could say. And then you get IREN at 212, Cypher at 269, and Core at 265. So I think IREN is now looking more attractive than like Cypher potentially is. In this way, if you look at it. All right. That's just one little metric here to take a look at, I guess. Okay. Momo Mawet 231. Question, I hate this. When can we go back to the peak in October? In a couple months. It'll happen. It's just, you got to be patient there. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen next year sometime. Sanka, I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. Sankathapila. What's up with Soluna? Do you think it can drop any further? It is a possibility there. You guys, I don't think I've seen you here before, but if you've seen any of my previous streams or videos when I talked about Soluna there, I did state a little reserve there that I think the stock is being manipulated. It's easy to manipulate it because it was such a low market cap. It had, I think, at one point before the rally that it had, it was like a 35 million market cap. So it's really easy to manipulate those guys. And we're definitely seeing quite a substantial fall on it as well from where it ended up being at the top to back down now. So I did state caution on that one, but I don't know, it could possibly fall even more. So just be careful with that one. All right, let's see. Nigel, IREN will melt faces in 2026. Unfortunately, people still don't understand it and group it with CoreWeave and Oracle. That's why I'm in it. I think it has a lot of potential here, more so than even those guys do. but I'd love to see it, obviously, not only for myself, but for everybody else here that's invested in them. I'd love for everybody here to, become millionaires from that stock. That would be a great thing there. All right. All right. Rob asks, hey Seb, just curious as to why you didn't do a show last night on Sunday. The data that I was getting in for the sheets I was going to do was coming in with errors. So I think Apple uses Yahoo Finance, right, for the back end, for the APIs, calls and things like that to pull the data. And I think there was an issue there. So my spreadsheets were looking like crap. It's like, nah, I can't show you guys scanning data because I have no data really to show you guys. So that's why we didn't do one. There's just technical difficulties, unfortunately. As I was getting things ready, it just popped up. All right, Rob, do you think IREN will fall into the mid-teens like 15? Oh, I don't. No, I don't think so. I don't. I think if we go any further, I think like the most we will probably go down is like 25, I think, unless there's a black swan event or something like that and everything falls hard. But then it'll be just like a wick down. But I don't think we'll go below 25, to be honest with you. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. All right, everyone. I think we'll call it a day here. Cut up to all your guys' questions here as it is, comments as well. We'll see how things play out later on this week. We got a couple more weeks left in the month here. We'll see if we can squeak out a green month here for December, which I'm not really thinking that's going to happen here now. But yeah, it's how do I put this? It hasn't been fun. Right, it was great when things were running up nicely for us. Things were going in the green. That was lovely, lovely to see. But this current drawdown that we're seeing, it's like a mood killer, right? I was gonna reference something to an adult topic, but I'm not gonna do that because I know some of you guys have kids as well. But I'll leave that for maybe a chat on the Discord or something like that. Just as a comparison to make as far as how things were great and before when we were going up and now we're going back down. So maybe Bitcoin needs a little CLS or something like that. I'll just say that. Okay. All right. That's it. I love you all. I hope you guys have a great week. I know it's not a great start to it. Hopefully we end at a much better note than where we are right now. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, have a great night.